Hey guys, it's Destiny, and today we're going to be taking an early look at Cipher as you can currently see her entire kit in game. So I thought we can go over this and I'll give my thoughts on her kit so far. And before we get into today's video, I would love to know if you are personally excited for Cipher or if you're more excited for version 3.4 or if you actually decided to pull for Hyacine. And lastly, if you enjoy videos like these, do make sure to subscribe, leave a like to support the video, and now let's get straight into it. Alrighty, so in the new event, we are actually able to take a look at Cipher. So we are going to check her out. Here she is, and we're actually able to check out her traces. We can even look at her Acheron. So let's just start off with her basic attack. Her basic attack will just deal quantum damage to a single enemy. Pretty typical stuff right here, and it's called Oops, a missed catch, and it will do 10 toughness reduction. Now as for her skill will have 120 base chance to weaken one designated enemy and its adjacent targets, decreasing their damage dealt by 10%. So that is what weaken will do. It will decrease enemies' damage dealt to you. So rather than increasing the damage that you deal to the enemy, you are actually going to decrease the damage the enemy will deal to you. And also, Cipher's attack will increase by 30%, lasting for 2 turns. Cipher will also deal damage to a designated enemy of 175% based on a level 8 skill, and then she'll also deal 87% of her attack to adjacent targets as well. She'll primarily do the most damage onto the designated enemy, and then adjacents will take a bit of damage as well. The toughness reduction will be 20, and it does mention that she has a 120% base chance. Real quick, if we were to take a look at this effect hit rate calculator, basically let's say the enemy had 40% effect resistance and the base chance is 120%. Without any effect hit rate at all on Cipher, we would have a 72% chance to inflict the debuff. Now, of course, we would more so want closer to 100% so we can ensure that the debuffs are frequently being inflicted onto enemies, especially in the case if you do run her on an Acheron team. So it mentions down here that the effect hit rate goal will be 38.8%. So basically, if you were to round up, it'd be 39%. So let's say, for example, let's just put this in the light cone section. So if we did have the 38%, we'll be at 99.36% for the overall chance of our debuff to be inflicted onto enemies. And then if we were to have 39%, it'll be at 100. So this will be the relative goal when it comes to how much effect hit rate you want on Cipher. When it comes to her skill overall, the weaken debuff is a pretty cool thing, especially when it comes to, let's say you are playing her on an Acheron team. Now her skill is going to be able to debuff enemies, which will be very useful for stack generation for Acheron. And of course, this will ultimately come down to the skill point consumption of your team. Now though, if we were to move on, let's take a look at her ultimate. So her ultimate is called Yours Truly, Kitty Phantom Thief, which I absolutely love the name of her ultimate. It definitely reminds me of Persona 5. It will cost 130 energy. It is a blast attack, so it's going to hit one enemy and then adjacents. The toughness reduction is 30. The Cipher will deal quantum damage equal to 105% of her attack to one designated enemy, and then she'll deal true damage equal to 25% of the current tally, kept by talent, to one designated enemy. Moreover, she'll also deal quantum damage equal to 35% of her attack alongside true damage equal to 75% of the current tally, kept by the talent, to one designated enemy and adjacents. And then it mentions that this true damage is distributed evenly among all the targets of this ability. So Cipher will be able to deal a bit more of this true damage to the primary target from what it looks like. And then when it comes to the secondary hit, this will also be able to now hit adjacent enemies as well. So a pretty cool blast attack, and I think her ultimate is really where her kit gets very interesting when it comes to what she's going to be able to do. Real quick though, before we fully talk about this, we should definitely check out her talent as it will clarify some things regarding her tally. Her talent mentions the Patreon state, which when there are no enemy targets on the field with the Patreon state, Cipher will immediately cause the enemy target with the highest HP on the battlefield to become the Patreon. And then when you use your skill or ultimate, the primary target becomes the Patreon. So if you want to swap who is the Patreon, you'll be looking at her skill or her ultimate in order to do so. And then the Patreon state only takes effect on the most recent target. And it mentions that after the Patreon gets attacked by other allied targets, Cipher will launch a follow-up attack against the Patreon, and this can be triggered once per turn. So Cipher does have follow-ups in her kit, which can be very useful to use alongside Feixiao. There's definitely a synergy right there. And this trigger count will reset at the start of her turn, and Cipher will tally 12% of the non-true damage dealt by ally targets to the Patreon. Overflow damage will not be tallied. After using ultimate, it'll clear this tally. So when it comes to Cipher's kits, at least looking at her talent and then also how her ultimate functions, she's the type of character that will heavily take advantage of how much damage your team is dealing to enemies. The more damage you deal onto enemies, the more tally you're going to end up having, which now results in her dealing more damage with her ultimate. And what's really cool about this in particular is something I definitely want to try out once I do get the early access server. Really want to try holding her ultimate until the second phase of a boss. But now for her traces, when Cipher speed is higher than or equal to 140 or 170, crit rate will increase by 25/50%. If her speed is equal to or higher than 140, your crit rate will increase by 25%. And then if her speed is higher than or equal to 170, it'll increase by 50%. So we're definitely going to be looking at that 170 range when it comes to building her. And then the gain tally will also increase by 50%/100%. So yeah, definitely want to look at that 170 plus range when it comes to building Cipher. Now for her next trace, she will also be able to tally 8% of the non-true damage dealt by ally targets to enemies other than the Patreon. Overflow damage is not tallied. So with this is really nice in the case of if you have her alongside an AoE damage dealer. So now you're going to be able to get a bit more tally, of course, to be able to take advantage of this with her ultimate. Now for her final trace, she will increase the crit damage dealt by the talent's follow-up attack by 100%. So we're getting quite a lot of crit rate as well as crit damage here when it comes to Cipher's traces. The crit damage, of course, here is only applying to her follow-up attack, but still, it's pretty nice overall. And then it mentions when Cipher is on the battlefield, damage received by all enemy targets will increase by 40%. So I would say this is a pretty nice perk that she has in her kit. She's going to be able to allow the team to now deal more damage onto enemies, which can allow her to now be a somewhat flexible spot, especially if you do not have too many Nihility or too many Harmony characters, or rather if you don't have the best in slot for some of your teams. And of course, her kit is just interesting overall. I will definitely be able to test her out even further and give you all my opinion on just her full kit overall, her team synergies, and just where she could be placed on teams. Of course, she looks pretty good right now when it comes to Acheron teams as well as Feixiao teams. I think she definitely could be extended past that as well. I do wish we could see the signature light cone, but we cannot. So a little unfortunate there, but when it comes to the minor traces, okay, so we're gonna get some effect hit rate from the minor traces here, which is pretty nice. So we have some effect hit rate, we are gonna get quantum damage boost, and lastly, we're gonna get speed. So I would say all three of these are pretty useful for Cipher here. 10% effect hit rate gain from traces, which as we talked about earlier, that 39% to guarantee the debuff. Now you're going to be looking at 29% to try to get. And real quick, we can go through her Eidolons. I'll have more of a firm opinion on these Eidolons once I'm able to experiment with them in the creator server, but I can just show you all what they are. So for her first Eidolon, Cipher's tally of damage is 150% of the original value. And now when she uses her follow-up attack, her attack will increase by 80%, lasting for 2 turns. So this just appears to be nice for her overall damage output that she will be able to deal on enemies. Now when Cipher hits an enemy target, there's a 120 base chance to increase the damage it receives by 30%, lasting for 2 turns. So once again, the 120 base chance, we went over the effect hit rate requirements for something like that. After the Patreon gets attacked by an ally target, Cipher will deal additional quantum damage to it equal to 50% of her attack. This is just more damage output right here. And then for her E6, the damage dealt by follow-up attack will increase by 350%. So pretty nice increase right there to her follow-up attack damage. And then during the tally, an additional 16% of non-overflow damage dealt by this attack is tallied. After the tally is cleared by the ultimate, 20% of the cleared tally is returned. So this last portion here, we're essentially going to get back a bit of tally now, which can be pretty beneficial, but of course this is E6. Not too sure how I feel about her Eidolons so far. I really want to try out these first two once I get the creator server, and then I'll be able to give a more firm opinion on them since I do think people will want to know whether her E1, E2, or her signature light cone is potentially the best way to go. But that is basically Cipher's entire kit, and now let's get into playing her. All right, so here we are. We are just gonna start off here by using Robin's skill, and here we have Cipher. She looks so pretty. I absolutely love her character design. But as you guys can see, this soldier right here that we are currently locked onto is the Patreon, which if we take a look, when the Patreon says active, a tally of the damage dealt by ally targets will be kept by Cipher, and Cipher's ultimate will deal true damage based on this tally. And then also damage received increases by 40%. That'll be pretty nice right there, just for more damage output dealt by the team onto enemies. So now what we can do, if we want, we can use her skill here, and we can actually swap who the Patreon is. Whichever enemy is the designated enemy that we are attacking will become the new Patreon. So we're just going to make it the enemy in the middle right here. There we go. Now Feixiao is going to come in, and now Cipher is going to come in with her follow-up. So now as we can see right here, it mentions for the Patreon, 5,906 damage has been tallied. So now if we were to just use Feixiao's skill right here, there we go, the tally is going up. While it appears to be a little 15 above her health bar, this is actually referring to 15,000. So that's a cool little thing to keep in mind when it comes to just the visual representation of how much you've tallied. And then of course, if you want to see the exact number, you can just go in and check it out right here. So now we're just going to basic attack here with the Venturine. Feixiao is going to come in with her follow-up once again. I am just going to push everyone up here. We're getting more and more tally. It's like little doubloons. We're getting so much money. So now with Cipher, what we can do is we can just basic attack. And now with Feixiao, I'm just going to use her skill. Boom, boom. And now Cipher is going to come in with her follow-up. Okay, so we just killed that enemy. And now this enemy right here is a new Patreon. So we're just going to use her ultimate like so. Boom. And now we have more doubloons. So now if we were to use Aventurine's ultimate right here, there we go. Now we just have more and more tally. Now we have the follow-up. But as you guys can see, we can actually hold on to her ultimate in order to just continuously tally damage. We can just basic attack. Now with Feixiao, we can use her skill. Boom. Now we can use Feixiao's ultimate. Now she's going to come in. There we go. We're at 400,000. And now let's just try out her ultimate right here. We have 415 coins, which is 415,000 damage has been tallied. Now let's use her ultimate and see how this goes. So we're going to be hitting the primary target, and we're also going to be hitting those adjacents as well. Let's use her ultimate. This ultimate animation is so cool, by the way. So we're dealing the true damage right there. And then boom, there we go. And now the tally is right back to 0. So if we take a look, 0 damage has been tallied. So it gets fully reset. And from there, we can just work towards, once again, getting the tally higher and higher. So overall, when it comes to Cipher, I would say that, once again, she's going to be pretty nice when it comes to Feixiao teams, just because of the fact that she does have a follow-up in her kit. And since she'll be built fast, she'll get those frequent turns. It'll be useful for being able to unleash those follow-ups a bit more frequently and just assist with getting Flying Aureus stacks in general for Feixiao. And then, of course, if you do use her with Acheron, now she's also going to be able to help out with that as well, since she is able to debuff enemies. So let's see how much damage we deal here. There we go. I'm telling you, I love this animation so much. It's just so adorable. And boom, 700k right there from her ultimate. And real quick, something I wanted to note regarding Cipher's ultimate is, since we were able to see it in action, I wanted to just go over how it's worded in her ultimate and then how it actually seems to apply. So it mentions that she's going to deal true damage equal to 25% of the currently recorded talent value to one designated enemy, which this is what she does. That primary enemy that you are attacking with her ultimate is going to take a couple of hits, and these are true damage hits, as you guys can see on screen. And then when it comes to the adjacents, it mentions how Cipher will deal quantum damage equal to 40% of her attack to one designated enemy and then adjacents, and true damage equal to 75% of the current talent's recorded value, and this true damage is going to be distributed equally. So this remaining 75% is going to get split 3 ways between the primary target and then the 2 adjacents. As you guys can see on screen right here, all of these enemies took the same amount of damage. So I suppose a way you can look at this is primary target that's getting hit is taking essentially 50% of the tally recorded, and then the other two adjacent enemies are each taking 25% tally recorded. That primary enemy is going to take that initial 25% when Cipher is primarily only attacking them, and later into the ultimate animation, as you can see, all of them got hit equally. So that middle enemy is, in a sense, taking 50% of the tally recorded, while the adjacents are each taking the remaining 25%. So that seems to be how her ultimate works. But yeah, I just wanted to show off Cipher for you all, give you guys some information regarding her, and just how she seems to function as well. I hope you all did enjoy this video, and if you did, do make sure to subscribe, leave a like to support the video, and also let me know if you are personally going to pull for Cipher, or if you're potentially going to skip her for someone else and for who. And lastly, I hope to see you all next time. Peace.